Here's what's on this episode of Formula World. As always, you can find timestamps for these stories in the description or as a pinned comment. First up on Formula World, Red Bull threatened to implement team orders. Following a collision between their two drivers in Baku that led to a double DNF for Red Bull, Head of Driver Development Helmut Marko has issued a final warning to the drivers and insists that the team will be forced to use team orders if there is another incident. If there is another collision between them, we will implement team orders, although we are actually against that type of thing. We hired Max for his speed and aggression, therefore there are times when we have to live with the fact that sometimes feathers fly. Max wants too much and puts himself under too much pressure. He has to learn to be able to give in sometimes, especially now because of the frequency of incidents. Max now knows that no matter what happens in the next incident, whether it's his fault or not, he will be responsible. Whiting wants grid penalties gone. Grid penalties. There aren't too many fans of F1 that can say they are also a fan of the often over-the-top grid penalties seen in some races. And it appears that FIA race director Charlie Whiting agrees with the fans and wants to see them gone. We would like to get rid of all penalties if we could. That's what we're working towards. There is no need to change now. It is a good system we have. We're thinking for 2021. We're introducing a fairly comprehensive package with a number of changes. Hamilton. Ferrari has better pure pace. Lewis Hamilton won his first race of the season in Baku and heads to Spain this weekend in the lead of the championship, but admits that he'll be lucky if he stays there for much longer. Leading the championship is great, but if we continue as we are, it will take a lot of lucky races to keep me here, and you can't expect that for the next 17 races. Ferrari's pure pace is much better than ours at the moment. By no means do we have a bad car, but we need to improve it to make it easier to drive. I felt really good in Australia, but it hasn't worked out since then, and I'm not sure why. F1 is unfair. Sergio Perez is riding on a high after securing the final place on the podium in Baku in what was a chaotic race. But the Mexican can see how the sport is not always fair and compared the drivers to athletes of other sports. Formula One is very unfair in that it depends less on the athlete than many other sports. It's not like tennis, for example, where it's up to you. Even if you're the best driver in the world, you will not win if you don't have the best car. But I do not feel frustrated because I am aware of how lucky I am and the great opportunity I have and the great career I have had. Although I haven't had a competitive car in my 8 years in F1, I still know what I can do. It just depends on the cars I have in the coming years. Renault can attract Ricciardo. Renault are in a position where they may be forced to find another driver at the end of this season depending on the movement of Daniel Ricciardo at Red Bull. But according to Renault boss Cyril Abiteboul, they may be hoping to attract big names including the likes of Ricciardo himself. We are interested in talented drivers, and Ricciardo is a talented driver. If we want to seduce drivers like Ricciardo, but maybe other drivers, the first thing that we need to do is get our stuff right. If we manage to build the best chassis and engine package, I am pretty sure that we can attract someone like Ricciardo, because we can show that we are serious about our ambitions. Three-way battle set to intensify. The battle for the Constructors' Championship is heated this season, with 3 teams conceivably in the hunt for the title, and Mercedes boss Toto Wolff is keen to see what this round of upgrades brings to the fight. This is the first step of the development race that looks like it could run to the very end of the season. It will be interesting to see how much performance the teams can find with their upgrades and what impact those upgrades will have on the team ranking, both at the front and in the midfield. The first 4 races indicate very strongly that we will see the three-way battle continue and, if anything, intensify. McLaren have made good steps. McLaren struggled during their partnership with Honda and were quick to throw their Japanese engine supplier under the bus. They also made the bold claim of having the best car in the field, which has only made their form this season seem underwhelming. But former McLaren driver Jenson Button is looking at it from a different perspective. McLaren came out last year and this year and said they think they might have the best car. It's a tall order to have the best car in Formula One when you're racing against Ferrari and Mercedes and Red Bull, and I think we've seen that this isn't the case. So you'd say the season so far is a disappointment, but if they didn't say they had the best car, you'd say it's a great season for them. They've made good steps. They're 4th in the constructors' standings. But because of what they said at the start of the year, you say maybe it's not what we expected. Leclerc, stupid to expect the same. Rookie driver and Ferrari protege Charles Leclerc saw his best performance to date in Baku, finishing 6th place after a great qualifying which saw him make it through to Q2. But the young Monegasque is wary of keeping his expectations in check. This is something I need to be careful of. Being realistic, this is not going to happen every race. Okay, everything went very well, but nobody should expect the same race next time. It would be stupid. We shouldn't expect this, but we'll work to get a similar result in the future. Is F1 unfair? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you like this video, feel free to subscribe and check out my other videos for all the latest in the world of Formula 1.